would you guys say that mental health become more apparent, or more people became aware of mental health during the last 2 years, or the last 5 years, because it wasn't a conversation before amongst a lot of groups?
I would say it's become widely accepted now and more spoken about now. My opinion on that is because if we break up the different identities, so let's say male and female, right? With men, back then, we wasn't allowed to feel those emotions. Does that make sense? But so the ripple effect is real, yeah? And when people are pushing out, transgender and gay and all this stuff, what then follows off the back of that? Oh, so we're all allowed to feel. We're allowed to feel.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now, because, I'm not saying it's the case, it's just my opinion, but now, because someone may have changed gender and now is able to identify as a woman, you're now naturally allowed to feel what a woman feels, supposedly. Yeah? So then, for you to be a transgender, you have to give me my own safe space to be emotional, because I have to give you the right to be a transgender. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So therefore, this narrative that all these people are pushing, and it's not at transgenders, it's just the subject I chose to talk about, this narrative that they're pushing is allowing the traditional man, I would say, because that's a dying breed, the traditional man to now feel emotion, upset, speak about stuff, all of these things, because the highest rate in suicide is men. So we're now allowed to speak about this stuff off the back of all these topics.
Yeah.
Whereas before, we had to be strong and pump our chest out and nothing affects us.
Yeah, egotistical man.
Yeah, you've got to be an egotistical man, it's not allowed to.
But I also think, I don't believe people want to actually hear what men really want to say.
Why?
Because I still see it, I observe it, and I see when a man truly says how he feels, he's still shunned. There's still the court of public opinion. And so, although it's said, oh yeah, men should talk about it, it's still the biggest killer of men under 30. So there's still something doesn't match up in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, you want us to speak, but you want us to speak in the way you feel is okay. So if someone says, I'm pissed off, fuck the sister, they're not allowed to say that. Because but if that's real to that person, then they should be able to say what they feel is necessary for them to get out. So you can go, okay, I see you, you're angry at the system or whatever it is, but what are you going to do? How can we help you get there? How can we help you to heal, or to understand it, or play this game better?
So let me ask you a question on what you're saying there, right? So, in what you're saying, who is it that are not listening? Is it us as people not listening to each other, or is it, let's call them the higher beings that are suppressing?
Us as people. And obviously we know where that comes from. So it is a combination of both. So us as people are not listening because we don't want to hear what's alive in someone. Because we, in ourselves, because sometimes if someone says something, it might be so triggering to you that it's easier for you to project and go, nah, fuck you, fuck what you're talking about, bullshit. Because it means you have to ask something about yourself. Does that make sense? So a lot of the time, there's a lot of people who will come out and be like, this is what I'm feeling, and then they'll just get shut down because it means that the rest of society doesn't have to address that issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
What I've also seen is people expressing how they feel on social media in the last few years. There was a guy that used to come on and say how he feels, like he's depressed, he's down, he's not really feeling good. And what I would hear in the community, and I'm around a lot of black people, so I'm gonna say the black community, and some guys were like, oh, what's wrong with my man? He should keep it to himself. My man's looking wet, my man's looking soft on the media, my man's looking like, yo, my man should keep it to himself, man, all that coming on. And it's like, I was torn, I was like, but there's some deep issues in our community, and if he doesn't speak about it there, where can he speak about it? And he goes, and how can we bring it to light? Because I'll be telling people that there's some deep issues that I feel like we're ignoring a lot. So when you're seeing that, a man's talking about that, I said, expect a lot more of that, because that's actually happening. But man are like, nah, man, keep that to yourself. We don't want to hear about that. And I was like,
Well, to touch on, because social media plays a massive part in it, yeah. So to touch on what you're saying, did anyone see that video of the man? So his baby mum, not his baby mum, his
American
partner,
mum.
yeah, his partner, he is in the traditional sense a man in the house, bringing in the income, supporting the family, blah blah blah, right? And he goes to somewhere far, it's in America, so he goes to a different state up in the mountains to relax. And so he does like a little selfie video and posts it on Instagram. And essentially what he's saying is, I had to come away for the weekend because I'm feeling too much pressure within my household. The mother of my child and partner I feel is very toxic at the moment, and I just need a break, right? I saw that and I said, cool, the man didn't need a break.
Of course.
But then what you naturally do is read the comments, and then what happens, which touches on what you're saying, is, sorry ladies, what you're saying is the ladies were coming at him. That's unfair. The woman can't just take a break. The woman can't just go and leave the kids and go up to the mountains and go to the sand and do all this shit. The woman can't do that. And again, it's very much what you're saying. I had to watch the video again, read the comments and realise that no one's actually listening to what he's saying. No one's listening to what he's saying. They looked at him, seen he's a simple for a man, and said, you're a man, so we're not listening to what you're saying, but we're women, so what we're saying is right, and we can't have that luxury because of your setup, because technically you could have luxury if you set it up properly. So, and then you're berating him, but there is not one solution on that video. You get what I mean?
Okay, you.
So how do we, and maybe this is a question you're not going to bring to the explore. How do you think that we can break that cycle and get more in tune with each other?
So, I'm going to be a bit awkward, and before I answer that, I'm going to actually put forward a quick example of something else that was like not the opposite, but when he's not listened to, what happens? I don't know if you guys have seen it, another American video, black man. He was going through an issue with his child's mum and his partner. I can't remember the full dynamics. I think it was that he couldn't see his children or something or other. He's gone around the house, and a lot of the issues that were being stirred up between both women, he was having issues with them both.
Right.
He ended up going and killing
Shooting
both
them,
of
I saw that video.
and then shot himself.
I saw that.
I saw
Yeah?
that video. I saw that video, yeah.
And then it's when, again, you read through the comments and you're seeing the, oh my gosh, why didn't he seek help? Why did he have to kill them all? It was, then you got some with, it's a selfish move. Then you got some with the, oh my gosh, how long has this been going on? And I'm thinking, that's the problem. We're asking these questions when it's done.
Too late.
Right.
Yeah, but then you're saying, why didn't he get help? But like you guys have said, when he's putting it out there, everyone's calling him as he's a simp, he's a this, he's a that, and no one's listening, right? So you've got men that are just effectively talking. They're not even, they are speaking, but in everyone else's world, they're just talking. Because it's in one ear, out of the other, because it's not their situation. But coming back to your question, like I always say, I can't answer for all men, I can answer for myself. My thing is, I've always been one that's an advocate for men being able to be emotional and verbalize it. I think the problem is, and this is where I'm going to go against it and say as women, because I have to generalize it in this sense, we have to unteach ourselves how that men should not be restricted into how they can be emotional. And by that I mean, you've got levels for every, like, individuals, period, and there's some ways that are healthy to deal with it, some ways that are unhealthy to deal with it, and then you've got to learn whether it be your partner, your family, or whoever you're dealing with that outlet in their ways. But in terms of, I think it's only accepted from a more of a female perspective for men to be irrational, aggressive, and that when it comes to them being loving or tearful, and if it's not someone's passed away or they're injured, it's like, why cry? Yeah, we need to take it away and be like, I've always said, and I say it to most of my female friends, if your man came in from work and he was like crying, and you're like, okay, what happened to you? Like, I'm not gonna lie, if I'm with someone and he was in from work crying, I'm like, you're right, babe. Like, you okay? But then what do you do if he says, no, I'm not. Matthew from HR said to me, I'm this, and I'm like, me? I know I'll just be there like, what just happened? But why do we as women expect that when you come in and Sandra from HR told you look fat today, she don't like you, and da 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 da, and just general, it could be insults or something that upsets you. You go to him to seek comfort. The same man that's not emotional, the same man that's not understanding you, the same man that's not comforted, everything he's not, you want him to be in that moment because he's your partner. He should be supported.
So then let me ask you a question.
Why do we not do the same?
Because again, you're the one that can answer it more than us because we don't understand what it's like at all, right? When does being emotional become attractive or unattractive? At what stage? Do you get what I mean?
Listen, I'm not a woman, but I can answer that.
Oh yeah.
This is the thing, yeah. So, you know, us as black men, in my mind, have been taught to be prehistoric white men. So, when a black man who's tapped into how he feels expresses it, they're seeing it as, shut up, that's some woman shit. We don't want to hear that. That's also attached to men being so-called emotional. Emotional is seen as a negative. It's not a negative. Enough men run the card of you're too emotional and da 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 da. But everyone's emotional.
Yeah.
We just express it in different ways. Men haven't been taught to express it. So when a man expresses it, prehistoric men see it as a woman thing. It's not a woman thing. It's a human thing, right? So that's a program of a mentality.
Sorry, can I pause you? And it sounds a bit wild what I'm about to say, yeah, but we've said it's a people thing, it's a human thing. It's not. It's a living, it's a being thing, yeah? And the reason why I say that is animals do the same thing. Animals are emotional, they tap into us. And if you see a man with a dog, women don't complain about how he is with a dog. They'll say, oh yeah, he loves it, it's because he likes animals. That's emotion, and I think what we need to do is unpack the term emotion, because I think that's where the misconstruction comes in, because we label it, oh, that's emotional, but what is it? Being angry is emotional, being happy is emotional, being sad is emotional, being confused is emotional.
What we need to do is stop attaching it to something, or stop putting it like it's weakness.
Yeah, but we need to understand what it even means first before we can put it to anything.
And I think because people haven't, or because men haven't been able to have that space to express for so long, I think that's why it's coming out in their mental health so much.
Right, but that's them expressing it even in that way. That's just it being held in for so long. That when they let it go, it's like, yo, it just comes out in all kinds of ways and stuff. But along with that, when I think about mental health, I see it as crypto, an NFT or something like that. It's a wave.
It's a wave.
If you think about it, it was not a talking point.
No, it wasn't.
A couple years back, no one was speaking about mental health. So now it's like the be positive. You just throw it out there because everyone knows now that's the lick. But we know it's unrealistic. Positive, negative, balance. Not positive, positive, positive. Unrealistic, don't make no sense.
Right.
Don't make no sense. So I don't really think that people can meet people in a realistic space when it comes to mental health, because it's not genuine.
You know, another thing as well, like we recently lost a friend due to mental health, due to suicide, but it was due to a long battle with mental health. And for a long time ago, say let's say 7 to 8 to 10 years ago, when he was suffering from mental health, we didn't know what it was.
It's
We
real.
thought, my man just on a mad thing,
Yeah.
my man starts partying, my man's just, you know, free. We putting all other words on it. Didn't know that this could be mental health, guys. This could be. So man was just like distancing themselves from man, not wanting to know. There was no support. We didn't know what it was. Only in the last couple of years now, we're saying, oh my God, my man's been suffering from mental health for years. This is a big thing. Now some of us are rushing to support. Now some of us are open to support, but just had no idea.
So what you two both just said kind of interlinks, and you basically said, in not this is what you said, but it's saying it's a wave kind of thing. Do you think it's a wave, or do you think that everyone has more awareness? So I get the point of what you're saying, positive, 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 positive. That comes with the bullshit, yeah. But is it a wave or is it awareness?
I think it's a mixture.
That was, yeah.
But
Same.
I think that some people genuinely are in that space, and some people notice a topic and think that they can speak on it, when really you're not genuinely there yet. You just know it's the lick. Oh, mental health, da 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 da. Girl likes me. Oh my god, you smash.
Yeah.
What? It's not. It's real though.
That's
It's
you actually got
real.
mental health if you're going about it in that way.
But
in my opinion.
it's a mental health choice.
But now,
It is.
what I also think though, most importantly, is that every single black man that was raised in this Western world has mental health issues.
100.
The Western world has fucked
Yeah,
us
100,
in
that's
every.
fine. Yeah.
The Western
No,
world.
you not got it as well.
I mean, it went a freeway thing. It went a freeway thing. No. I was agreeing. I was agreeing.
Cool.
But a freeway spot.
Black
Okay.
people that have been raised in this Western world, we're all sick.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
We've all got the virus.
100%.
We may display it in different ways, but we've all got the virus. Like my shape, like how I saw things, right? That wasn't me.
Yeah, but Anne, we have the answer.
Go on.
We have the answer. You got the answer because we were talking about it earlier.
Going back home, yeah.
That people don't understand the. How can I put it? It's like this, yeah. It's like charging a battery, right?
Yes.
And black people don't understand that we have been taken away from the source of energy, our charge.
Essence,
our God.
yeah.
Yes. So we're all looking pasty and pale, even though we're black. Trust me, we tan. We're all looking pasty.
How would we really be?
Yeah.
if we were there?
Yeah.
Right,
We're not glowing as much as we would be
yeah,
if we
yeah.
was-
Exactly, we're dull. We're running on empty. Remember those Duracells? You could press a little button and it's
Check
all
the
at the bottom,
levels.
yeah? Going back to what you're saying,
We're
all
not
black
efficient
people in the
runners.
Western world, we're running on empty.
100%.
So now, do you know what that does? Our mental capacity isn't strong, mental health.
Right.
Our energy is weak,
Right.
lazy.
Right.
What have we been? What have black people labelled as? Lazy,
Lazy.
ethnic fatigue. I've heard all these
You
terms
fight things with
before.
aggression.
You
Yeah.
fight things with aggression. Why are you fighting things with aggression? Because you're
Because you're lacking
tired.
in
When
everything
you're
else.
tired,
Mhm.
you sometimes you just cry for no reason. You get
Listen.
lashed out. You're emotional. All these things, and then we've also been told that your docking station over there is fucking shit. Don't go over there. There's nothing over there apart from poverty and hatred.
Yo,
and-
listen. Sorry, Faz, listen. This is what I'm saying. Like, I have to hail up any person blessed with melanin that is still alive and breathing in this thing.
100.
Because this thing is a virus from the top down. It shapes your reality, it
Serious.
shapes your perception. It's kind of like I'm looking at the world through a white man's eyes.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
It's major
Because
conflicting.
consciously, as much as my family are all black, it wasn't no conscious empowering teachings that I was getting because they never had it.
No, of course.
So I had to find it. And when I found it was when I was like, yo, the black man's God for real. And understand why.
I feel like we're the first generation of people that really got to that information because before that it wasn't there. I think
I was
the
thinking
internet,
about
the
that
internet
still,
just
yeah,
that's why we
yeah.
can't blame the ones before us because it wasn't really.
No, what I'm saying, I do agree partially. What I say on that, because we have to be very mindful of speaking about the generations before us, right? So I don't want it to come across like we're saying our generations, the big.
Nah.
What I want to say on that is that it's not that the information wasn't accessible. It's just that they had their own fights that didn't allow them to access that information.
On top,
And plus, when
on
did
top of
the
being,
internet come about as well? Like internet only come about
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
2005.
But remember, it's not only
We've
that,
been
it's
lucky to
also-
have these
Yeah.
Sources.
It's also
platforms.
how they were able to transcribe it for their own understanding of what it was, what they experienced, what they knew, for their own knowledge, plus what was passed down, and then how do they pass that on to us? Remember, if we look at our grandparents and our great grandparents, yeah, a lot of them are still going to be able to talk back home. How that was all passed on to them was cool, but now they're having to pass on to first or second born British born generations. Do you understand? Some of them were still technically British born if you look at the fact that they were still colonized at the time, although they weren't. When I say British born, I mean in terms of legalities, yeah. But outside of that, when you're learning back home, it's one thing. Now when you've got to teach children that are being born and raised in England, that are fighting against, hold on, what are our cultural things, our traditional things, our heritage, versus what are they now being taught in school and what are they being shown, because everything we teach you isn't what you're going to see.
Yes.
So they're going to teach us things and we're going to be like, what are you talking about? That don't happen here. So naturally we're going to conflict with what we're being taught. So you've got to teach us in a way that kind of seeps in for us, and that's going to be a lot harder for them
But
than
on
it is for
top of
us
that,
now.
yeah, on top of that, and this is where it gets heavy, because as much as our parents knew, right? Our parents obviously set up shop in the best way that they could for us, right? A lot of them weren't even taught financial literacy.
No.
So, that generation skipped. When we get conscious and we have to take on that and think, oh shit, what do you think that's gonna do to a mind that can't put things into perspective properly? That's gonna finish you off. Because in your mind it's like, yo, my people, not just your family, everybody who looks like you, and you're like, if you actually take on a fraction of that weight, that's enough to mash you up. On top of that, you have children, and then you have your children's mum, then you have work, then you have people coming at you from the outside, the police, the newspapers, all this kind of stuff.
Listen to this though, yeah? What you're saying is 100, but it's even bigger than that, because you have to remember, talking about financial literacy, we literally created maths. We literally had gold. We literally had all of that. So that means somewhere
We
knew how to pattern
We
everything,
knew.
because we taught everyone else.
But it was
But
taken
then-
from us.
It was taken. So what you're saying is 100% correct, but it's even, there's a big,
It always gets bigger than that.
You know what
Go.
kind of underlines everything is and this isn't just men, this is women, and it's our beliefs around the pursuit of happiness. So the system has given you this kind of pursuit of happiness in itself is not, you can't get it, you can't attain it 24/7. It's just not possible. It's too high energy.
Yeah,
You need a balance. Like you need to be peaceful rather than happiness. So everyone's moving with this pursuit of happiness, which is not even real. So going back to Ad's point around the kind of positive, it's not possible to have positive.
It doesn't make sense.
It's just about we've not understood the meaning behind what we're going through, if that makes sense. So
100%.
everything we're going through has a meaning. Like as you were saying in the last episode about everything being for you, we've never been taught about everything can possibly be for you. So for instance, the trauma we go through, we always think, oh, why did that happen? But that could be for you.
Right.
That's the
You
gift.
know, that is the
Right.
bigger
The
picture.
knowledge.
It could be for you,
Right.
but we've never been given that meaning around actually the trauma could serve you. Like I know how it serves me now. As you said, you see.
Of
I
course.
can see you now. I can respond to your needs now. When it comes, and I think we know more, we do less in this time. So we know so much more, but we just ain't got the energy, as you said before, to do it because we're so overwhelmed by everything. We're like, right, okay, but what do we do about this?
what do I tap first?
But
So
that's what you're saying about us being
there's
drained.
like a balance again about having enough information, but actually what do we do? Well, right now is what we need to do. So like for me, if I see someone down and out, I've got to say to myself, have I got the energy to respond to this person in front of me? Do you get what I'm saying? And that's what it is. We haven't got the time to actually
You see when you talk
respond.
about, sorry to cut you, see when you talk about energy as well, that's why I know people that go back home at least 3 times a year to make sure they're energized throughout the year, to make sure we can respond to our community and we can be that person when we need to be, because we've got a lot on our plate, we've got a lot on resting on our shoulders.
Like everyone's saying, like from listening to all of you, it's actually brought me back to what you were saying earlier about when you came out of jail and then the whole, well, what do I do? And what you went back to doing. You think about it, you're not taught financial literacy. You were making the money, but you didn't necessarily spend it the best way or didn't do the best thing. Thankfully, you did put some aside, but it wasn't enough for you to keep going. Secondly, trying to help people. You're helping people, but how much are you helping yourself?
This is it.
Third, have you got the energy to keep persevering through all your knockbacks? You didn't. So all them three things put together that everyone's just said took you back. That's what put you straight back on that journey of saying, well, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is a cycle that we're put in. But even back to like the beginning with the emotional state or emotional, I don't even want to say mental, just emotional states, yeah, especially with men. Women, and I will say this now, women, because I've been guilty of it as well. I'll hold my hands to that. Women do not understand the same way we have like a menstrual cycle. Men have cycles too. Everything is based off of cycles. And at the end of the day, like we make jokes. I've definitely made jokes with guys when they're miserable, and I'm like, oh, it's his time of the month too, yeah. But hold on, who's to say that men don't actually have a time of the month? But his cycle just may not be set like ours. It might not run off a certain amount of days. His cycle is when he's got to that point and got to there and he's drained, it needs to start again. But we aren't taught that. We're only taught about biologically a woman has this, but because a man doesn't, means that he's just miserable. He's just doing this. He has to have gone through. Yeah, but the point is, providing is a cycle. Do you understand? Because you're taught to provide for everybody else, but not to provide properly for yourself.
Can I add to that too? Look, yeah. So the interesting thing is you said something key, an empath. You're an empath, and you recognize that, and the fact that you recognize that is golden, right? But when I kind of like look at my dad, right? He's at the game, in and out of jail, drugs, all this type of stuff. Like he's finished. But now, but he's finished, right? But hey, what though? I did what he did in regards to creating a family and being a father and being a partner. I have so much empathy for that man because I know the way.
Yes.
I know the way. So I don't knock him.
No,
I don't blame him.
In a time when men couldn't articulate,
know
how to navigate that space.
Right.
My old man is like, got 24 kids. I'm one of 24 for my old man. And yeah, he was like in and out of people's lives as they were growing up. But there's a lot of us, and right now he's in Dominica in a bad way. You know, people say it's his karma because he wasn't there for everyone. And for a long time, I didn't really have much empathy for him, even as an empath.
Yeah.
But as I got older and I realized the weight of this world, I thought, nah, you made your mistakes. You loved women and whatnot, but you're a person. He was on a journey. He wasn't taught so many things, you know. And he was raised by his uncles and other people, like in Dominica, because his mum came over here and said for everyone one by one. So he wasn't raised,
traumatic in itself.
you know. So when he's come over at 19 and is in Poplar Bowl, having it out with a white man and having all other kinds of struggles and issues, and
it must feel good to be hugged
and to lie down, you know. You might have been in a lot of hugging and kissing, but you might have needed a lot of hugging and kissing.
Yeah, but if he hasn't had that from his mum for how many years, he's going to look for that in another woman. And every time a woman shows it and disappears, it's just going to be a continuous cycle that starts again.